guys, Unreply5656 here, and I welcome y'all back to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. Now, oh my god, right now I am completely just pissed off because you'll almost never guess, well, you probably will guess what happened. What do you call it? OBS decided not to record, and I went through like the entirety of this, and I got to Act 4, which at the time I didn't realize was Act 4 because I thought there was like a lot more to it, or I actually thought that this was going to be the last act, you know? So yeah, it decided not to record any of that, so I am highly angered at the moment. So now I have to go through those two scenes, and then just end off where we left, where we were at in Act 4. So yeah, which is pretty much the beginning of Act 4, because, you know, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, without further ado, we have a lot to go through. Okay, so, let's get to it. I think back to the track meet, where Emmy declared herself the fastest thing on no legs. The fact of her obvious loss has never seemed to bother her, at least not in public. Okay, hang on, because now this is being stupid. Screen. Thank you. Being stuck in the wheelchair frustrated her, I know, but even that was something she dealt with on her own, despite my efforts to the contrary. Emmy has a way of bringing out the more active side in people. I've never quite figured out how she does it. Those puppy dog eyes she gets, for starters. I'm not surprised that she managed to rope you into an exercise routine. If Rin weren't just as stubborn as she is, I'm sure that Emmy would have gotten her out and running with you, too. Oh, that reminds me. Rin says hello. I drift to the outer edges of the conversation again as we move into the dining room to eat. It smells delicious in here, and the spread that Emmy's mom has produced is impressive. Whoa, you made enough to feed an army in here. Is it too much? Well, you can always take some leftovers with you when you go. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, see, I can't voice actor properly when I'm pissed off. Anyway. Hey, that sounds great. I can only handle cafeteria food for so long. Something home cooked would be a welcome change of pace. What he said. Thanks, Mom. The food tastes as good as it smells, and there's a lull in the conversation while we all dig in. Emmy assaults her plate with the usual amount of gusto, and I will admit that I set a pretty fast pace myself. So, Hisao, I hear that you and my daughter have gotten pretty close, that you and my daughter here have gotten rather close, huh? The urge to say something like not really is so strong that I open my mouth to say it, but then reassert control. We are close, there's no getting around it. I mean, Emmy's brought me here, hasn't she? Fortunately, both Emmy and her mother seem to take my reaction as a sign that I'm caught off guard, rather than considering saying something cruel. I suppose we have. I blame the morning runs myself. You make it sound like a bad thing, Hisao. Well, I for one found it a relief. But why's that? Emmy's always been a popular girl, but never made any close friends. This is a bit of news to me. I've always seen Emmy chatting with her classmates in the hallways, and certainly the whole track team seems to love her, but it is true that she chooses to isolate herself during lunch with Rin and me. Not exactly the sort of behavior one expects from a popular girl, after all. Then again, I've experienced her unwillingness to get close firsthand, so I can't say that I'm that surprised. I was beginning to have my doubts. Emmy rolls her eyes to the ceiling and grumbles something I can't quite make out. Huh? What? What's that you just said? Nothing. Mrs. Ibarazaki chokes on her drink with laughter. You've been hanging out with the nurse too long, Emmy. I'm gonna have to talk to him about corrupting my daughter. Somehow I don't think that would be very effective. I learned most of it from you anyway, not the nurse. Don't listen to her, Hisao. She's a born liar. Huh, yeah, right. Oh, I don't know, Emmy. I think your mother has a point. What? You traitor! You're supposed to take my side in this! Yeah, but you did lie about your leg after the meet. Ow! A kick in the shins from an unmistakably plastic foot cuts me off, but not before Mrs. Ibarazaki's eyebrows shoot upwards. What about your leg? It wasn't a big deal, that's all. I was just, in a wheelchair for a bit. The last few mumbled words are quickly deciphered by Emmy's mother. I suspect she has experience with this sort of thing, and a worried frown appears on her face. So that's why he kept dodging my calls. Oh, Emmy, I know how much you hate being in a wheelchair. No wonder you've been in such a mood lately. Yeah, she's much happier on her feet, so to speak. On her back as well. Well, of course, she spent enough time in a chair just after the accident. She didn't get prosthetics immediately? No, she had to finish healing up before they'd let her start the sort of therapy you've got to go through just to adjust to those things. Especially since you wanted to run on them. I had no idea. Yeah, it sucked. Oh, did you see Rin's mural at the festival? Emmy's sudden change of topic makes me realize belatedly that she's been fidgeting the whole time her mother and I have been talking. I should have figured on her being a little skittish when it comes to talking about the accident, even around her mother. No, I didn't make it out to the festival, remember? Although I caught a glimpse of it at your track meet, it seemed pretty weird to me. I think that's more or less what she was going for. She talked a lot about it being dreamlike, or trying to make it dreamlike. Rin's art is one of those things I don't think I'll ever understand. That's not surprising. I don't think Rin expects to be understood. She told me once that art allows people to understand stuff they wouldn't understand otherwise, but all the same, she doesn't think it actually works that way. And I'm surprised that Emmy's talked about this with Rin extensively enough to actually have Rin's opinion, such as it is. Although I expect that Rin could not, if she were so inclined, say the same thing about Emmy's. Unless, of course, Emmy is purposely keeping me in the dark about everything, which is likely, but unpleasant to think about. I drift down this unpleasant train of thought for a while, losing track of the conversation. Hey, Emmy, I've been meaning to ask. Huh? Are you gonna visit your father this year? From the way she says it, you'd think Emmy's mother was talking about the weather. From the way Emmy reacts, it's clearly not the weather they're talking about. She flinches, a slight jerk of the head backwards, as if she'd just been slapped in the face. Can we talk about this later? Her voice sounds brittle, strained. It looks as if she's been severely shaken by the question. It seems that Mrs. Ibarazaki misjudged just how close Emmy and I are. Some things, it seems, are best not conversed about with me around. Her father is one of those things. The accident that took her legs is probably another one of those things, if her reaction to the earlier conversation between her mother and myself is any indication. It doesn't take Emmy's mother long to realize that she screwed up. Of course we can't, dear. I'm sorry to bring it up. I just wanted to ask so I could make plans. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Emmy fidgets nervously as if embarrassed by her own reaction. I confess that her reaction is confusing. She only just mentioned her father to me earlier today. Less than a few hours ago, even. Why does a simple question about when she'll visit her father cause such a strong reaction? Unless whatever serenity she claimed to have reached by means of our talk the previous evening has suddenly evaporated. Or it didn't help as much as she thought, or claimed. I'll, be right back. Gotta visit the little girl's room. Emmy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Mrs. Ibarazaki alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her, or should I stay here? Yeah, I'm gonna do all the same choices that I did, when I tried to record this the first time. So don't worry. It's obvious that Emmy's departure was not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her, and I have to know what it is. How to go about it? Yep, go after her. The only way to find out is to go to the source, and the source is currently pretending that she has to use the toilet. I excuse myself politely from the table and head that way, only to catch sight of Emmy not in the bathroom, but in the kitchen just next to the living room. Emmy's left the door open, and as I approach, I can see that she's holding onto the table in an attempt to compose herself, an effort that fails as soon as I open my mouth. It doesn't look like nature's call was that urgent. Emmy jumps and glares at me. What are you doing here? I didn't come here to be with other people. I just wanted to help you. You look pretty rattled. I said it was nothing, didn't I? And besides, I thought we'd established that you can't help me. No, we've established that you're stubborn. Look who's talking, the guy who followed me. This is different. I want to help you with whatever this is. Funny, because I just want you to leave me alone. But why? Why can't you just trust me? We've been over this already, Hisao. I've got to deal with this stuff on my own. I won't accept that. You need my help. You just won't take it. My wording seems to have been a little off. Need? I need your help? Well, it's a good thing we met, isn't it? Because otherwise, I guess I'd just be a little broken human being, wouldn't I? No, it's a damn good thing that Hisao came along to save the day, isn't it? Because God knows I can't save myself, can I? I'm just a poor, emotionally damaged girl with no legs, right? Emmy, you know I don't think that. Really? Because if you thought differently, then I don't think you'd be here saying I need your help. I've gotten pretty far in life as a normal human being without you. So, what? Nothing we've shared was important? I'm just the guy who hangs out with you? You're my boyfriend, Hisao, not my savior. Well, no, that much is obvious. You won't even consider that I could be a help to you, will you? You'll just bottle it all up and hope that a run will solve your problems, or you'll come visit me and we'll fool around until you feel better. That's not being a healthy human being, Emmy. That's not what a relationship means. Well, it's what it means to me right now, Hisao. I wish... She seems to reconsider her words just then, a flicker of pain, of doubt on her face. For a moment, I think she's about to cry. But the moment passes and now she's composed herself again. Whatever that wish was will have to go unspoken. Look, I can't do this right now. What, have a serious conversation? Be open, be honest, give a damn about anyone besides yourself and your problems? What do you know about my problems? Nothing. You don't know what I've been through, so don't pretend that you do. I know you have nightmares, and I know your father's gone. What happened to him? Again, as I said prior, you guys don't know about it, but yeah, this is the wrong question to ask. Shit. Emmy's head jerks backwards as if I just slapped her. That brutal quality has gotten back into her voice. That's enough. This is stupid. This whole conversation has just been variations on Emmy stonewalling me. What? You won't even answer that question? Fine, keep your secrets. They can lie in the grave as far as I'm concerned. Emmy's eyes widen in shock. When she speaks again, it's in a voice that is low, dangerous. Get out of my house, Hisao. The sudden change in her tone snaps me out of my self-righteous anger and makes me realize with a dawning horror what I've just said. Emmy, I didn't mean... I said go, Hisao. Tell my mother that she cooked a wonderful meal, but you've forgotten a prior engagement, and get out of my house. She's trembling now, shaking with anger or sadness or determination. Her voice is still low, controlled, almost a growl. I reach out to put an arm on her shoulder to apologize for going too far, but she jerks away from my touch. Get out. What can I do? I walk out of the kitchen and go to the living room, make my apology to Mrs. Ibarazaki, and let myself out. The morning alarm sounds, and I roll over, switching it off. My eyes open blearily to stare at the ceiling. What am I gonna do? Do I get out of bed or go down to the track and pretend that nothing happened? Will Emmy even show up? After last evening's events, I doubt it. Even supposing that she did, what would I do then? Get over this fight just to dance the same routine the next time something's bothering her? I know that I spoke hastily last evening, especially trying to use her father as leverage. But was anything I said really off the mark? She won't let me in, ever, and she'll be forced to suffer alone. Nothing I do, nothing I say is gonna change that. She won't change, and she's already decided to keep me at an arm's length. Can I really bring myself to go down there and see her, knowing that I'm never gonna get past where I am now? No, I decide. I really can't. Not today. I roll over and go back to sleep. She probably won't be there anyway. A similar mental conversation repeats itself when it comes time to go to lunch, and I eat in the cafeteria, alone. I don't want to see her. The very thought makes me feel ill. That night, I go for a run. I'm solo for the first time since Emmy got sick after the track meet. Skip seeing the nurse, just in case he asks about Emmy. I don't want to talk about her either. The next day, I do the same thing. Alarm off, stay in bed, eat alone, run alone. To fill the time that I would usually be spending with Emmy, I start reading more. It works surprisingly well until I find myself ducking into a restroom because I see her walking down the hall in between classes. If she noticed me, she didn't show it, even though I don't suppose she ever shows anything. Certainly not to the girls from her class I see talking cheerfully to her, or to her fellow track members, especially not to me. Alarm off, stay in bed. Muto and I have a lengthy talk about the possibility that string theory is plausible, but I don't buy it myself. More than 4 dimensions I can buy, but a bunch of vibrating strings at the subatomic level, that's asking a bit much. Looks like I'm not the only one to think this way too. Apparently it's not really as strong a theory as it once was. Muto says that that's just because nobody has found the right way of looking at the data yet. Eat alone. The rooftop is deserted today. I briefly wonder where Emmy and Rin are, but shrug off the question. The important thing is that they aren't here, so I won't have to talk to them. Since I have nobody to talk to, I bring a book with me to read. The weather's nicer, if getting a little hot. Hopefully it'll be cooler in the evening. A cool breeze seems to back up my theory. Run alone. It is in fact cooler at the track. No sign of Emmy, which is exactly the sort of thing I'm going for. I stretch out and start on my usual run, trying hard to ignore the lack of a running partner in front of me. Finding my thoughts drifting damnably to that girlish laugh, incorrigible grin, those wide and friendly eyes, her incredibly toned body. I increase the pace to clear my head, chew up the distance between me and the turns, find the speed that makes me think only of my legs and how much they burn. I glance on my watch as I round the final turn, noting that my time's gotten faster. My heart seems a little squirrely tonight, so I give myself a few extra cooldown laps just to be safe. No reason to bring this to the nurse's attention. I'll be fine. A rather Emmy-ish thought to have, I'll admit. I have to hope that eventually I'll stop thinking about her so much. I finish another book before going to bed that night. I'll have to stop by the library tomorrow. I don't know why I keep the early alarm on anymore, but it wakes me up the next morning just the same. I still turn it off and go back to sleep. That afternoon, as I get ready to head to the cafeteria for another solo lunch, I've got a new book about a couple of conmen in ancient Persia that I'm pretty excited about reading. I am suddenly cornered by Misha and... I guess just Misha. Off to eat alone again, Hee-chan. We've noticed, you know. We? Uh-huh. Shi-chan and I noticed that you've been spending more time alone. She wanted me to find out why, so I told her I'd ask you. I'm surprised she didn't ask me herself. She would have, but she wanted to get a head start on some paperwork. There's a lot of it since we're coming up on the end of the term, you know. Why the sudden interest in my well-being, anyway? Ah, Shi-chan said, it is the duty of the student council to keep track of the emotional health of its students. To allow constituent to spiral into depression unchecked would be an unforgivable failure in the council's duties. Well, that's easy then. I'm not depressed. But you're eating alone, and nobody's seen you and Emmy together at all. Something happened, didn't it, Hee-chan? Misha's voice takes on a slightly sterner tone, though somehow she keeps the familiar lilt at the end of her sentences. I purse my lips, uncertain about how to respond. Yes, I actually give in and let Misha know. Wait, what? Okay, so, alright, I just wanna point out that the first time I recorded this, unfortunately I have no evidence of this now, downplay the issue was actually on top, and give in and let Misha know was actually on the bottom. So, you know, I was about to hit the bottom choice and hit downplay the issue, but, you know. Anyway, so, yeah, give in and let Misha know. Well, I suppose someone else knowing about my problem can't hurt. Heck, maybe even Misha can offer some advice. We had a fight at her house. I keep trying to get close to her, and she won't let me get close, and I said something stupid, and she threw me out. Have you talked to her since then? Misha looks genuinely concerned. I'm surprised, as I'd almost expected her to drop the subject after finding out what the trouble was. Even more surprising is how quickly I find myself spilling my guts to her. No, I haven't. I just can't bring myself to face her after that. I made a complete fool of myself, and she probably hates me now anyway, especially since I haven't seen her since then. You're pretty slow, Hee-chan. This doesn't sound like advice. Huh? Misha places her hands on her hips and launches into a speech that would sound more plausible coming from Shizune. The solution to your problem is simple. You have to go and apologize to her. Leaving things like this will just make things worse. You can't know that she hates you unless she tells you. Otherwise, there's no evidence that what you fear is true. And if you really care about her, shouldn't you be worried about how she's taking all this? With a sudden start, I realize that she's right. I've kept waking up to an early alarm because part of me wants to meet Emmy at the track for our runs. I've kept running because I know that Emmy would worry about me if I didn't stay healthy. When I went on the roof yesterday, I was half hoping that she would be up there, and felt disappointed when she wasn't. I'm an idiot. Kinda, Hee-chan. So, go and apologize to her as soon as you can, okay? I open my mouth to say that I'll do it right away, but the lunch bell rings and I realize that I still have afternoon classes to attend. First thing after class is over, I'll go see her, I promise. And, thanks for the advice, I guess. Misha beams at me, as if I were a child that had just learned his ABCs. Good! I'll let Shi-chan know that you're okay then. Yeah, you do that. With a wave, and completely disregarding the fact that people are starting to trickle back into the classroom as opposed to out of it, Misha departs the classroom. I suppose she and Shizune have student council business again. While the afternoon wears on, I find myself impatient for lessons to end. I need to see Emmy now. I have to try to set things right. Even if Emmy hates me now, I have to at least apologize. I owe her that much. Should I meet her in her room? Nah, I decide. It would delay things too much. If I know Emmy, then I can find her at the track. Still have no idea what I'm going to say when I get there, but I take comfort in knowing that Emmy probably wouldn't have a plan for something like this either. Play it by ear. Stop being nervous and just get to the track. Figure the rest out when I get there. The track looms ahead, and another jolt of nerves hits me in the gut. I resist the urge to turn and walk away, and instead note with satisfaction that I was right and Emmy is still running. I don't make myself immediately known. I find a seat in the bleachers and watch her run instead, thinking back to earlier meetings. After a few trips around the track, Emmy notices me and skids to a halt, an expression of surprise that slides easily into one of anger. What are you doing here? Not quite the response I'd hoped for, but at this point I don't have much of a choice. I wanted to apologize for what I said the other day. The other day? She laughs, a curt exclamation of disbelief. It's been almost a week, Hisao. Well, yeah, better late than never, right? Emmy crosses her arms and stares at me coolly as if sizing me up. Finally, she nods. I suppose you're right. Water under the bridge, then. I forgive you. Is that all? Her almost impatient question catches me so off guard that she's already halfway down the track before I think to shout after her. No, wait! She doesn't seem to have heard me, or she doesn't want to hear me, and so I give chase, disregarding completely the fact that I'm not dressed for it. My feet hurt, and my shirt collar feels like a noose around my neck, but I still chase after her, because if I don't, I'll lose my chance. Emmy hasn't started to really accelerate yet, which is probably the only reason why I'm able to catch up to her, to reach out and tap her on the shoulder, just before my legs give up running in dress shoes and stumble to a stop. Surprisingly, fortunately, all that running seems to have paid off. I'm short of breath, yes, but at least my heart isn't actively trying to force its way out of my chest. Or ribcage, sorry. My touch on her shoulder has stopped Emmy, and while there is a flash of concern when she sees me catching my breath, it seems that she has a good idea of what I'm capable of too. The concern is short-lived. What? She seems so irritated by my still being there that I almost lose my nerve, but I've lost my nerve enough. I need to explain myself, why I can't just let the matter rest. Emmy folds her arms and bounces on one blade on the ground in an approximation of tapping her foot impatiently. Angry as she is, and as nervous as I am, she still looks beautiful. Okay, Hisao, explain. The thing is, I know that you're really sensitive about the accident and about your dad. I can see Emmy's face twitch at the mention of the two things that have been steadily drifting us apart, or at least made me feel like we're being driven apart. But that's why I want to know about them, I think. Because I see how much they hurt you, and I want to be there to comfort you. It makes me miserable seeing you sleepless and depressed. And don't pretend you aren't, because I know, okay? I just remember that night when you fell asleep with me and had that nightmare, and that you were happy to have me there when you woke up. I want to be there. I want to be able to be there for you like that whenever you need me to be. The stern face cracks slightly. Emmy interrupts before I can continue further. Just stop right there. We can't see each other anymore, okay? She's rushing now, looking everywhere but at me. I'm surprised she doesn't bolt. She knows I can't catch her. We're not right for one another. That's not true, and you know it. No, it's true. You're too... I know. I know that I've been pushy about knowing your past. If you can't tell me yet, then at least let me be there even if I don't know the reason. It's okay. I promise. I won't ask why you need comfort. I'll just give it freely. Emmy's shaking her head, and tears seem to be threatening the corners of her eyes. Stop saying that! Why? Because you're afraid you'll take me up on it? I'm not afraid! I can't keep the chiding tone from my voice as I respond. Yes, you are. You told me so yourself, remember? That's okay. It really is. However, it seems to me that someone who managed to come out of that wreck and still be as energetic and cheerful as you are would be determined enough to face that fear. Determination? What do you know about determination? I know that there's a girl so determined to take care of a total stranger that she'd steal his food at a festival. I know that there's a girl so determined to help me with my own problems that she'd draw up a complete dietary and exercise plan, and that she'd not only draw up the plans, but she'd follow them with me, even when she couldn't run. Determined enough to keep me at an arm's length, that she'd put herself through emotional pain if she thought it was the right thing to do. Although, there's one thing that this determined girl didn't quite plan for, which was that I might feel that same kind of determination to keep her from being hurt. I fell in love with you, and I refuse to let that be thrown away because you're afraid of losing me. What little control Emmy still has at this point cracks, and I find myself suddenly enveloped in her embrace as she cries. Why are you doing this? Why can't you just leave me alone? I hold her close and plant a kiss on the top of her head. I'm sorry, Emmy. You helped me when I first arrived, so now I have to help you. It's only fair. You're utterly hopeless. Did you know that? She hiccups and trembles a little. Funny, I could say the same about you. Can you do something for me, Hisao? Anything. Can you go now? It feels like she's just shoved a knife in my chest. Go? I need to think, okay? I can't just tell you everything yet. I'm still scared, and when you're around, I can't think clearly. But do me another favor. What's that? Show up for our morning run tomorrow. I smile, feeling better than I have all week. Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Emmy steps back slowly, almost reluctantly. She sniffles a little and then grins at me, a real smile that lights up the track, overpowering the fading evening's light. See you tomorrow, Hisao. Okay. She darts forward suddenly, planting a soft kiss on my lips, then steps back shyly. Spinning on her back foot, she takes off running again, and I know that our conversation's at an end. My lips tingle with the warmth of that brief kiss and the memories of other, longer kisses. I walk back to my room with a spring in my step. Tomorrow when my alarm goes off, I'll get up. Yep. And there we have Act 4. Alright, so yeah, this is again where we're leaving off, or where I'm actually going to stop the video. Fortunately, I had it saved here, but, you know, unfortunately for me, I can't really go back. So, anyways, I just gotta stretch. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like in the video. Be sure to subscribe for more weekly content. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter and on Snapchat. All the links will be in the description down below, so be sure to check them out. Anyways, I'm Runner5656, and I'll see you all in the next video. Later.